Number one is narcissists tend to create an alternate reality. Now, we're going to make this video a little bit shorter than normal because, as you can probably tell, I seem to be losing my voice. So I'm going to talk quick, so kind of listen quick if you would. But to illustrate this point, I remember when I was a kid, we used to play cowboys and Indians, or cowboys and bad guys. And one of the things I noticed when looking back on that, everybody wanted to be the good guy. Nobody wanted to be the bad guy. Nobody wanted to be the Indian. Now, I've got a friend who grew up out west. I think he grew up maybe in Idaho. And he had some friends who were Indians. And they would play cowboys and Indians. But everybody wanted to be the cowboy, because the Indians were always cast back then, in the 1950s, as the bad guys. We know better than that now. But that gives us a little bit of an insight how narcissists think. Or maybe we should say how narcissists maybe don't think. I'm not sure this is logical at all, but what we realize is that they always want to be the good guy. But it's a game that they are putting on. It's fantasy. So number one is they create this alternate reality like kids playing games. And they are always casting themselves as the good guy, and guess who you are? You, in the narcissist's mind, are cast as the bad guy. Now, one of the narcissists I knew, he wore a costume. When I was a kid, I wore a costume, and usually it consisted of a straw cowboy hat and a little plastic gun that was strapped around my waist, and that's all I needed. Boom, I was a cowboy. But my narcissist friend put that in quotes. He would wear the costume of a deeply religious person. He was particular to Baptists, not that that matters. Some I've read about, I should say, narcissists who were very dangerous who masqueraded as Mormons because they understood that Mormons were giving people so they could easily take advantage of them. Turns out the guy was wrong, but that was his impression. So anyhow, I had this narcissist friend who liked to imagine himself as, and presenting himself as being deeply religious, very spiritual, and he was also steeped in conspiracy theories, which I guess makes sense, but his conspiracy theories had a religious spin to them. And guess what? You probably already guessed it. Somehow he was the victim in the conspiracy theories. They were conspiring to get him. And we would find I would find that he would use his religiosity cover, his costume, as well as a cover for the consequences of his narcissistic behavior. And anytime he would get caught doing something, he was being persecuted. And whoever it was that was after him for, maybe he would borrow money, not pay it back. Well, let's get into that a little bit more after a while. But, he would say, well, there's some religious thing here. I'm being persecuted for Jesus. And that's kind of a simple way to put it. But yeah, he had a nice, convenient religious cover for everything. Now, the surprising thing about that is he was very convincing. And that's the thing about narcissist is a lot of people believed him. In fact, I believed him for years until I realized that last time he came into my life, he would come in and out. You know how narcissists often do, covert narcissists in particular. And the last time he came into my life, I realized, man, I'm being scammed. And finally, that departure came where I was discarded, and I not only lost my fake friend, but I also lost a few $1,000s that he had scammed from me one way or another. Number two is, we already touched on this, but I want to mention it one more time, is that they tend to blame other people for their failures. So during the smear campaign, they will draw other people into their fantasy world, and as I just mentioned, they do this with amazing, incredible success. Surprising how many people fall for this. And, well, the guy's religious. He can't be wrong. Right? Obviously, he's wrong, but people would fall for it. And he would blame other people for his failures. Whatever he did that was dishonest or crooked or just flat out lying, what they would find is that, this guy is not at fault. Somebody else made him do it. And according to his narrative, if it weren't for this other bad guy in his life, he would be fine. Now, this is an individual who is homeless. He would live in other people's homes, sometimes in their basements, always taking advantage of religious type people, usually. And he didn't have a job. He had a job for a while, but he got offended and quit because, the boss was a bad guy. The same story over and over and over again. But he would take advantage of people. Number 3 is character assassination. What the narcissist likes to do is, after the discard, you probably already know this, but let's just review real quickly. What he does is, or she, they will engage in a smear campaign. This is when the person that they screwed over, for lack of a better term, we'll just call them the victims of their abuse, they will present them as the abuser. The person the narcissist abused, he will tell other people, the third person in the triangulation, that was the abuser who abused me. So what they are doing, what the narcissist is doing, is when he is characterizing or mischaracterizing you as the villain, he is assassinating your character. He is destroying, hurting, smearing your good name. That's why they call it a smear campaign. So we say that's character assassination, and I like to extend that a little bit and say these people are serial assassinators. I don't want to call them serial killers because they're not physically killing other people, but I wouldn't put it past them. And I would say, and I said this, I think in my last presentation, that virtually every serial killer was a narcissist, somebody who had no empathy whatsoever. Number 4 is they lie. Now, we could talk about this forever, but let me just say very briefly that their entire life is a lie. Everything about them is a lie. They're masquerading, they're playing, they're pretending to be the good guy. That fantasy world that they created for themselves, imagining themselves as being the king of the world or whatever. The world's a lie. So it shouldn't be surprising to us that they would incorporate within their life lie, or their life, however we're going to phrase it, that they would incorporate within that verbal lies. So they verbalize verbal lies. When they discarded you and they went on that smear campaign, that character assassination campaign, it's all lies. That's what they do. They lie. And I said this twice before, say it once again. It always shocks me how many people actually believe them. Number 5, let's close out with this one, but it's very important. So hear me out on this. They are thieves, or at least the narcissists that I have dealt with have been thieves. Now, as I approach 70 years old, I've lived, several decades, and I've learned a thing or two. And one of the reasons I do these videos is I just want to share with you what I've learned. And what I've learned about narcissists is they're thieves. Now, they may steal money if they can get away with it. They may be scammers and talk you into a good deal, which they're really just talking you out of your money or your resources, but they also steal your supply. The analogy that I use over and over again is like a tire with a slow leak. They're constantly needing air supply, but in your case, they need ego supply because they are ego deflated. They have no sense of self-worth, so they have to acquire that somewhere because being humble just not in the equation. They steal that from you. They will humiliate you. They will put you down. They will take things physically from you. But that whole process is stealing. They're stealing supply from you. They're transferring self-worth from you to themselves. That is stealing. So their entire life lives are lies. Now, I knew one narcissist or person with narcissistic characteristics that she had this thing where she'd trip and fall at a retail place, and she'd sue him. She tried that once, and yeah, it worked out pretty good. They settled with her, didn't want to go to court. Probably either had a bad attorney or didn't want to pay for an attorney. I don't know which. But I actually saw her name, and I saw this in the state. What do you call it? Where you look up people's criminal history online, and she had tripped and fell at a kind of a high-end mall in the parking lot. That didn't work out so good because those people, they have attorneys on retainer. In fact, some of them are attorneys. Attorneys, a lot of the owners of these shopping malls are attorneys themselves. So she tried that stunt, and guess what? The court wouldn't even hear it. What do they call that? Summary judgment, I think, where the judge says, this isn't worth even coming to court. And he decided in behalf of the person who is being sued. I keep forgetting those terms. Plaintiff, I think. But, no, defendant. She was the plaintiff. So that's how they steal. Just every way they can. So their life is not only a lie, their life is also a thief. They're thieves and liars. At least the ones I've experienced are. You will see 2 rectangles on the screen. Take a moment, if you would please click one of those if you want to continue the conversation. But if you're done for now, you're done talking, fine. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see y'all next time.